Excuse me?
I take it Mr. Fremonet's condition has stabilized?
Of course! I wouldn't have left the infirmary otherwise.
I've been expecting those two, but might I inquire as to the purpose of your visit, Miss Siege?
I wanted to check up on Miss Cloran. How are you feeling?
Mostly fine, I think.
If you don't mind, I'd like to perform another quick physical exam. It'll just take a few minutes.
All right. Thank you for looking out for me. I'll take my leave for now, then.
Well, want to explain yourself, Risley?
Of course, but I'm not partial to the word choice. Where should I begin? How about you start by asking me any questions you have? You can start with whichever one you'd like to get answered the most.
Then Paimon will begin. Did you know about Lenny's goals from the very beginning?
No. I just knew they were Fatui operatives sent to the fortress by the Knave. As for their specific goals, I only figured those out as you made progress on your investigation.
You managed to monitor and stay ahead of them even though you didn't know what they were trying to do?
They came here with ulterior motives. I'm quite adept at discerning. Initially, I thought their goal was just to investigate Child's disappearance. Linny suggested that I had deliberately let him escape, but in truth, I didn't really do anything special to help or hinder him while he was here. Everything he did, from finding helpers to leaving this place, he did on his own. Of course, it's inevitable that the Knave would make a big deal out of her fellow Harbinger's unexplained disappearance. I'm also quite curious about where that Harbinger went, so I figured I might as well let the Fatui do their own investigative work.
So you were hoping Lenny's group would just do your work for you?
You make it sound like that's a bad thing. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. I assume that Fremonet has told you already, the ratio of the Forbidden Zone has always been Lenny's target, and you got roped into that investigation after running into him. I began to intervene out of concern for your safety, and also to prevent the fortress from becoming entangled in more irksome—
Are the rumors true? That you're also a former criminal?
Why would you put it like that? Isn't staying here all day and serving as the manager of the fortress a kind of sentence unto itself? Another form of prison? I just happen to have some support from the rest of the inmates, that's all.
Oh, right! Paimon wanted to ask, who invited—
Me, of course. I paid her good mora to come down to the fortress for some field work. As a champion duelist, Miss Cloran could be considered to be an independent party. I needed to find an exceptionally capable person to help me get through the impending crisis.
And saving Fremonet was part of that crisis?
You can think of it like that, yes. Credit where credit is due, that boy is quite adept at diving. Had conditions not been as hostile as they were, he probably would have found the missing Harbinger already. That's not something you should be asking after. Neuvillette only— all I need to prove to you is that the Forbidden Zone had nothing to do with the Harbinger's disappearance. That should be clear.
But we've already uncovered that there's something wrong with the infirmary, and we've answered a bunch of questions that you threw at us. Isn't it—
You make a compelling case. Do you really want to know the answer that badly?
Yeah, Paimon really—
Even if the truth may not be pleasant, follow me.
There's a hidden door here? And a whole basement behind it? Huh. You're pretty good at hiding stuff, Risley.
It seems you've forgotten just what kind of place the Fortress of Meripede is. Stand on the central plate.
Wait, is there a secret mechanism or— Whoa! This is the Forbidden Zone? Honestly, for a place so well hidden, Paimon, what a huge door!
There are 3 such isolation gates in total. Generally speaking, I'm the only one who's allowed to go inside. Hence the name Am I correct to assume you're going to run on back and tell your little Fatui friends everything?
Well, Paimon wasn't thinking...
Well, I'd advise you wait until you've seen the whole truth of this place for yourself before deciding whether or not to tell them.
So there's a switch on the side!
Stand back.
Whoa! They all just went up one by one!
Go on, have a look. I've been interested in what lies beyond that gate ever since I assumed leadership of the Fortress of Meripede. Of course, it would be unwise to recklessly open it, but it'd also be risky and negligent to simply ignore any potential danger that could be behind it. The readings on that dashboard have not budged since the day when I first laid eyes on this place. But over the past year, the needle has crept upwards from its original position. Normally, I would have ignored it, but I happened to have some free time when I noticed it, so I investigated. Any guesses? Very reasonable guesses. I've considered both of those. The temperature should vary with weather and climate changes, so for something that rarely shifts, the water pressure is more likely. Later on, a few more possibilities occurred to me, such as a potential connection. Over the past few days, the needle has moved again. With that, and the symptoms that Fremine displayed after leaving the fortress, I can now confidently conclude that the readings represent the concentration of primordial seawater in this.
The concentration of primordial seawater? But we're already under the sea!
And that is precisely the problem. We're at the bottom of the sea, and now we're surrounded by toxic seawater. Somehow, yes, that's very likely.
But forget about the two of us! Not even Neuvillette knows where the primordial sea could be, much less where we could find and plug a leak. Oh.
Seems like you've figured it out. I believe the primordial sea lies directly beneath this sluice gate. For some reason, the primordial seawater levels have risen significantly, and the indicators are now red. Although the gate still stands, some primordial seawater has already leaked out and mixed into the sea around us. If this continues, soon it will no longer be able to hold back the primordial sea at all. Yeah, you know what the legends say. If this place falls, then everyone in Fontaine will be turned into puddles in the span of a night.
But that's just too weird! Why would the Fortress of Meripede be built right above a sluice gate for the Primordial Sea? Who built it?
Your expression tells me you think this might be part of a vast, complicated conspiracy. To be honest, you might find the actual answer may be exceedingly boring. It's just that the secret of the Forbidden Zone had been long forgotten by the nation before I rediscovered it with my research. There's no single founder of the Fortress of Meripede in any traditional sense. What we know about its history has been left to us by the people who used to live here. When the previous Hydro Archon Egeria ruled the land, all convicted criminals from Fontaine were exiled. The people drove the criminals away. The criminals received no sympathy of any kind from the people. They were exiled to the desolate seaside, where they experienced only pain, struggle, and the bone-chilling cold. Some of them began to repent, and prayed to the Hydro Archon, asking if there was still anything they could do. The Hydro Archon took pity on them, and said, "You may go guard my secret, deep underneath the waves." And so, leaning on the power of the Hydro Archon, they gathered underneath the sea and began to build a fortress. As the number of exiles increased, more and more people joined the community. When the first group of exiles died, they left the yet unfinished fortress to their successors. The Hydro Archon continued to lend her support, allowing the fortress and what it stood for to continue growing ever larger. Before long, this dark underwater fortress became the Sinner's, and with that, the people here stopped referring to the fortress as a prison. But as time went on, people also realized that the fortress was a lonely place. Once they had finished serving their sentences, some people left and some others chose to stay. They'd find some idle position and let their withered souls fade away with the ancient secrets of the past. After many, many centuries, few people still remember the reason for the fortress's founding. Now they just see it as an integral pillar of Fontainian society, as the place where criminals deserve to be sent. Now and again, researchers manage to break one law or another and live out their days in the fortress. I learned all this from an elderly historian. Everyone else...
But now you know every part of that history is true.
Indeed. It's just as the prophecy says. If this gate fails, then, to be frank, not really. But sadly, that hasn't stopped this prophecy from proving all too accurate. Prophecies are troublesome things. Just hearing one will create the first wave of panic. Seeing signs of it will bring about the second, and actually witnessing it... Let's go somewhere else. I want to show... This is it.
Your Grace, perfect timing. The results from our last round of experiments have...
Wait, Jurier, he's not alone!
Huh? Lorvine?
No need to panic, you two. I've already told them about our plan.
What? After you warned us not to tell a single soul about any of this?
I'm skeptical as well. Are you sure they are trustworthy?
The results speak for themselves, don't they? These two may already know more than you could ever imagine.
All right then, if Your Grace insists.
They seem harmless enough, so I'll trust them for now.
How about some reintroductions? This is Jurier, one of the highest-ranked researchers from the Fontaine Research Institute. He used to work under Edwin. I trusted him. Good. Saves me a bit of time. Edwin's main areas of research were archaeum and gravimeters. As his assistant, Jurier is quite familiar with them as well.
You want to blow up the fortress?
What a lovely idea. I'm already imagining it in my head.
Gotta admit, I'm tempted.
Guys, focus! Focus!
That taskmaster over there is Miss Lorvine, and is also one of my technical consultants. While Jurier used to be Edwin's...
Ooh, are they together?
See, everyone keeps asking this question. Are you too sure you're not a couple and just using your work?
Your Grace, I am...
If I dated her, I'd officially be madder than Edwin.
Jeez, forget I said anything then. Follow me.
Whoa! There's another door that goes right up!
Your constant amazement makes it seem like the fortress can do anything.
But Paimon really thinks everything's super cool!
Well, let's spice it up a bit. And here you go.
What a huge ship? This is also a production zone that Paimon's never seen before.
How much do you know about Fontainian history?
Not much.
Well, then maybe you haven't heard the story of ancient Lemuria. To give you a quick rundown, Fontaine used to be ruled by the Lemurian dynasty. According to legend, the Lemurian king Remus came to this land after being inspired by divine revelation and found the seer Sibila, who had taken on the form of a golden bee. Taking the golden bee with him and riding on a huge ship, the Fortuna, he created his nation above the surging waves. He called his nation Lemuria and used the Fortuna to incessantly search for new tribes and islands, calling on them to join his empire.
There's a ship in this story too?
Where there's water, there'll be ships. People believe that hope can always be found at the end of a voyage.
Do you believe that too?
To a point, I think. As you've already seen, I have a whole factory's worth of labor, materials, and technology at my... So the moment I began to speculate that the primordial sea might lie underneath the gate, I also...
Were you inspired by the legendary Fortuna?
Maybe. Fontainians need something to hold on to cope with the... Were the workers to find out the truth behind this ship, riots would destroy the fortress faster than any catastrophe. As the fortress's administrator, I'd never make such a reckless call. Alright, that's enough talking for now. I'll need another 3 cups of tea to soothe my throat. Seems like you're good. I'll leave you here for now.
Oh,
No worries. But don't forget, it's up to you whether or not you want to share what you just saw.
yeah. We'll put a lot of thought into it.
Great. I look forward to what...
Body and mind.
We're back!
Welcome back. Do you want a cup of tea?
How can you be so much like Risley, always drinking tea?
Huh. Actually, now that while I was sedated, I could still barely hear 2 people talking next to me.
Must have been Risley and Sishwin.
Yeah, I heard 1 male voice and 1 female, so...
I really can't make sense of this place. So, Traveler, Paimon, were you able to learn anything from...
Yeah, he explained everything.
Very well. Then, would you mind checking your answers against my speculation? Yeah, I took the time to rest, so I'm feeling a lot more relaxed now.
Nobody else is around, and Miss Sijwin is also busy with something or other. So let's just talk here.
All right, then I'll posit my theories. I asked myself 3. Firstly, why was Fremine affected by the primordial seawater? It was because he dove into the sea. My theory is, the long-lost...
Ooh, he's good. He got that right on the first try.
That's our Linny. Secondly, Risley's attitude changed dramatically during the course of our stay here. He ignored us completely at first, then suddenly roadblocked. I spent quite a long time thinking about this. If he has been monitoring the Fatui since the very beginning, he probably ignored us at first because he was hoping we could find Master Child for him. What's more, the Fortress of Meripede is not part of Fontaine's court system, nor does it report to Iudex Nervulet. Wriothesley is basically the king of— As long as the fortress doesn't do anything about Master Child's disappearance, Father can use it to pressure the Fontaine authorities. And while, if I had to guess, he probably has something that he's working on himself. It's likely related to—
You're super smart!
Thanks so much. Then, if Wriothesley does have a plan, what could it be? All I know for now is that his plan probably has something to do with the changing nature of the seawater. He's even gotten Cloran to help him out. That can't be the full extent of what he's doing. There's probably a secret passageway behind the block in the infirmary, and there's something big in the fortress. I don't have enough information, so I have no idea what his chip might be.
I can't believe it.
The sea will engulf everyone. Just like the prophecy said.
Could Wriothesley have wanted to meet Father to figure out a way to deal with this crisis? If you remember, I once mentioned that Father sees the House of the Hearth as her base of operations, and she truly wants to resolve the crisis. But how could Wriothesley have known that?
Or perhaps he didn't know, and just wanted to bring Father over to his side? Which could be why he said he just wanted to negotiate.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I understand your concerns as well, Traveler. I'll figure out a way to pass this on to our father. No matter what, we're on your side. The two of you have already aided us far too much. We probably wouldn't be standing here right now if not for you. If you ever need anything else going forward, please come to the House of the Hearth at any time. Though you may not share the sentiment, after all that we've gone through together, the three of us basically see you as family.
You have my gratitude.
Thank you for protecting Linny when it really mattered. And thank you for sharing the secrets of the fort.
Why are you being so formal all of a sudden? Paimon's hungry.
Oh, you...
Alright, then we'll catch you guys another time. As well. Traveler and Paimon, over here. Are you here for dinner too, Miss Sijui? And I'm taking the opportunity to prepare Miss Cloran's dinner as well. Huh. You're right. She's actually sitting... What would you like to eat? Yep, you can. I've already talked to our chef, Mr. Wolsey. It's all on me today, so you can get whatever you'd like. Me too! Don't forget Paimon! No problem. Just leave it to me. So delicious. Paimon's so happy. Paimon wants to feast like this every day. Feeling full yet? How's the food? Delicious. I'm so glad to see you all so happy. Oh, see, the expression on your... Sijui, do you do this to help your patients or to better understand human beings? A bit of both, I suppose. I'm a Melazine, which means I'm very different from human beings. I must know what you're thinking if I want to—
You're really good at taking care of people. Even though you're so short.
Really? You're reminded of an older sister?
Oh, and what did you mean back in Risley's office? When you said that—
Oh, that. I just asked His Grace to look out for those children, especially that diver boy. Thankfully, Glorand is very strong and managed to save him in the nick of time. His Grace also sealed the pipes after Glorand left. To make sure, although the path was blocked, we still stationed some guards there to stop anyone from approaching. They were instructed to only— Oh, and I was keeping an eye on Mr. Linney as well. We had to press him, but we couldn't allow—
You were all super considerate and really thought everything through.
It's just what we do down here at the fortress. At least this has been His Grace's style for as long as he's been the lead. Oh, I really wish Monsieur Nervula would come down here more often too. I feel like he'd like it here, with all the darkness and chaos. Get a good night's rest, you two. You...
Has happened. Paimon just feels absolutely exhausted now that she's finally relaxed. Paimon's super sleepy. Delicious.
Out of my way! Get out of my way! What happened? Why is everyone running? No idea, but something must have happened. Stop asking!
Who's yelling? Paimon still wants to What happened? Why is everyone running around? Hey! What are you doing?
No time to explain, mate. Goodbye.
Hey! What? What's wrong with these people? They won't—
They're here! Yeah! There you are!
Oh, thank goodness!
We're still in Lavaroon. Do you know what happened here?
We came here especially to inform you. Something seems to have gone terrible. Lavaroon was saying you two are new here and you don't have many friends, so you might slip through the cracks. Haven't you heard all the stories like that? An evacuation—
Wait, weren't you the one who brought that up? Why is it suddenly my idea?
Hey, shut up!
Okay, whatever. The point is, you should come with us. Yeah, he said to get as far away as possible. Upward.
Oh no. It can't be that thing!
Whoa, wait, what? What? Hey, where are you—
We have to go find the Duke! You two just go and get out! Go on without us!
Hey! Be careful!
Attention! Please evacuate upwards and outwards, upwards and outwards. If you're already at the topmost layer, then try to move as far outwards as possible.
They're here.
Just like I said.
What happened?
You're just in time. But be ready to run. Three, two, one.
This won't hold it for long. Find Neuvillette. Tell him the defenses are about to collapse.
Then what will happen to you?
Until he arrives, we're the last line of defense. The gate. How long do you think it'll hold?
That depends on us.
Neuvillette? Why are you here?
Traveler, I need you to head to the Opera House immediately. Farina will soon be meeting with the knave there. You must protect Farina, and make sure she will do. You have...
Time to act.
Look! There are a ton of Fatilian Palais Mermonia.
Are you two the traveler in Paimon? Though I'm sure he's already explained, this should be a mostly cordial conversation, unlikely.
Oh, so you two are the honored guests Miss Farina mentioned.
Of course, of course! How could they not attend a meeting such as this? I must always have 2 or more guests at my dessert table. Otherwise, the occasion would be too lonely and unbecoming of my station.
It is my pleasure to make your acquaintance, traveler. I have...
I've already prepared seats for you. Come, sit beside me.
Perhaps you two are unaware of how Miss Farina and I do things. You see, we actually recently agreed to get together for tea when we had... See this? This is a limited type of confectionery that Miss Farina simply adores. There are only 16 slices sold every day. Here.
Traveler, what do you think of this cake?
That's good to hear. So what Child said was on the mark after all. You do share a taste in desserts with... I wonder how he's doing nowadays. You must have heard, right? He's suddenly gone missing.
Since we're talking about him, I feel like I should add something. His martial prowess really looked... certainly pretty impressive, yeah.
Oh, so you're also familiar with his aptitude for fighting, Miss Farina. Oh, right. Against ordinary people, my colleague would never be on the back foot. But alas, he just never imagined he'd run into such a person. Coming from you, that's not surprising at all.
But I thought you would be happier to hear the news.
Of course, but it's still a bit of a shame. You see, I would have been far happier had I received this news somewhat earlier.
Well, in any case, there's no need—
Oh. And just how do you—
Because we found evidence that proved he left the Fortress of Meripede!
And where did he go after leaving the fortress?
Well—
The Fortress of Meripede lies deep beneath the waves. Unless he pranced right out of the main gate. Ah, that is good news at least. His sister Tonya sent a letter to Fontaine not too long ago. Since he was unfortunately unavailable, I picked— Do you have any idea how he usually writes back to his family? Dear Tonya,
All letters tend to follow the same few formats anyway, right? As long as the contents are—
Hold on. The water and—
I suppose this is also a sign of things to come.
Huh? I don't quite understand what you're trying to say.
Have we entered into the next stage of the prophecy?
My thanks to you both. I will take it from here.
Sure you don't need a hand?
Quite sure.
Wow. So, what's your secret, huh? Let me guess. Nah, who knows? Maybe it's just your sense of responsibility.
Sounds about right.
Day may come when the prophecy is fulfilled, and the waters burst forth. But it is not this day! This ancient power could easily obliterate an entire race. A tsunami of fury would unleash endless catastrophe. This sentence is too severe. Forgive me for overruling it.
All right. Seems like the problem inside has been—
Let me guess. We're safe for now.
Indeed.
I win this bet. You owe me a
Very well. It was indeed
You made a bet?
We made a bet on the size of your entourage. Cloran thought you wouldn't come down by—
I figured you would have at least brought a few people along for appearance's sake.
Shouldn't you have gotten used to confidential missions by now? That's just how the
So what gift must the loser give?
He already has tons of tea in his office.
That wouldn't happen to be a dig at my lack of legal awareness.
Well, I'm sure His Grace doesn't consider the fortress to be—
I was under the impression the residents of a place like this would be
That was obviously a joke. Anyway, you've still got some unfinished business to it.
No need to stay here if you have a pressing matter. We all know you can't leave Palais Mermonia for long.
Thank you. I hope everything went smoothly with the Fatui Harbinger.
I must say, we've Miss Farina. As the Hydro Archon, I am sure you understand the exact meaning of the phenomenon we just witnessed. Or should I say, that's what I originally thought. But looking at your
What are you trying to say?
At this point, I don't think there's any more need to speak as diplomatic representatives. Allow me to speak to you now as just a Fontainian. Yet, here you are, relaxing, drinking tea, and eating desserts as if it's all nothing more than the prophecies hanging above our necks like a guillotine. Every faction is looking for a way to either avert the disaster, but you? It beggars belief just how nonchalant and carefree you have been. From the very beginning,
You're wrong. I've never ignored the prophecy, nor have I just been passing the time in self-indulgence. Retract your accusation and stop doubting the wisdom of the gods with such absurd conjectures!
I am not alone in my doubts, you know. All the children of Fontaine may be harboring the exact same thoughts right. Oh, great Hydro Archon. How are you going to save them?
I have my ways, and I've been working on them for all this time. Even if you look down upon me, you have no right to judge me! Fontaine will be saved. Even if I still cannot see the true future right now, as long as I continue on as I am.
Then I ask you, Miss Farina, just what have you been working on? Where can we see it at—
My machinations are just like the prophecy itself. They will—
I see. As a god, the proof of your labor always lies beyond prying. Allow me to be so bold as to ask another way. Would it be possible for you to tell us the parts of your plan that are not confidential? Oh, that look in your eyes.
The emergency response plan.
Then allow me to jog your memory. Miss Farina, and what do you plan to do with the massive amounts of indemnitium that has accumulated over the years?
The Oratrice? It's just like—
So you also have no idea. If I'm not mistaken, I first caught wind of this when Linny tried to investigate the Oratrice in the Opera House. You see, but even if that had nothing to do with you, then what could you possibly be— Oh, right. I almost forgot. Udex Nouvillette is—
yeah, yes.
Of course I will. Although, I must say, Miss Farina, Oh, very well. Let's stop that conversation here. There are still a few slices of cake left. Traveler, I heard that you were recently commissioned to handle a few matters on behalf of the Udex. Why don't you too, Paimon?
Thank you, Paimon. Oh, Paimon's soup.
If it's on my tea table, it must be of the highest quality. Yes.
You're welcome. I'm sure the cake also felt greatly honored to be featured at Miss Farina's table. And I was merely catering. It is getting late. Why don't we call it a day? There are still a few matters that—
Very well. We'll end it here.
Mind seeing me off, Traveler? We could use the opportunity to discuss Child before I'm—
Paimon's coming too! Go!
I'm glad that you were willing to come with me. Of course, Child was—
That's what Paimon thought.
You lent your aid to the children of the House of the Hearth. As their father, I would like to express... That was all. Formal topics should be discussed in formal settings, and informal topics... I know you just returned from the fortress of Meripede. Relax. I have no intention of...
They've all been working very hard and have always done all they can to fight back.
You mean Wriothesley. He's a tricky one to deal with. It's unfortunate. By the way, and you can just consider this a bit of... You are outside of our disputes, and the freest person in all of Fontaine, able to move around most easily.
And that's everything that happened during the trial. Master Child was declared guilty and immediately transported to...
Didn't he say he was coming here on vacation? Does he not feel an ounce of shame for all the trouble he has caused?
Forget
it. He did give us an opportunity. I will be meeting someone shortly.
Do you require help with any preparations?
No need. I will take care of it, I need to meet with Farina, the Hydro Archon. She is at the heart of Fontaine. But what's fascinating about her is that she often seems more like...
Oh? Come over here, you little critter, you! You dare to run from me? Stop right this instant!
My goal is just to discover the location of the Gnosis. But I didn't expect the chance to approach Farina to be handed to anything left unguarded is usually just bait. But no one will blame someone. It's just as I guessed in the second before I struck. In fact, this Archon doesn't seem like a god at all.
Who are you? And what are you trying to do?
The fear in her pupils is genuine. So perhaps she's not bait after. I left the scene with ease. Nobody came looking for me, and nobody could serve as a witness to my... Not long after, my informants confirmed what I had guessed. After returning to her quarters, Farina quietly... There's no doubt that there's something wrong with her. I began to entertain the possibility that she is not the true Hydro Archon. Perhaps Iudex Neuvillette. I have to find the Gnosis. If the Neuvillette hypothesis is correct, he...
Yes, Father.
My dear children.
News from the Fortress of Meripede. Master Child has gone missing. On top of that, the contacts and guards we bribed at...
Probably the handiwork of that Wriothesley.
I'm afraid so.
This is a good opportunity. The value of a harbinger is much higher than most would imagine. We now have an excuse to exert diplomatic... Set up a meeting for me. I would like to meet the Hydro Oh, and I have an additional mission.
Yes, Father.
Tartaglia's disappearance was not a part of my plan, but I can use it to make... The initiative belongs to the House of the Hearth. My wish to investigate the Fortress of Meripede will be... You should know the rest. Lenny's group is quite close to you, so...
You attacked the Hydro Archon?
It wouldn't mean anything, even if you shouted it from the rooftops. After all, even Farina herself is still alright. I've now had 2 chances to enjoy tea with Farina. I have to say, the leadership of Fontaine is even more inscrutable than I had imagined. I am a servant of Her Majesty the Tsaritsa. Over my years of service, I've learned how a real Archon conducts and carries themselves. Of course, that is all just how I feel. It is, however, quite amusing to me that after all my years working in intelligence gathering, don't you think Fontaine is quite intriguing? A catastrophe looms, yet ultimately, though, one must survive, and you don't need to commit to anything right now, of course. I have a feeling that the situation will continue to evolve, and as your name is often connected with noble deeds, I'm sure we will work together someday. He certainly returned quickly.
Neuvillette, is it over?
For now, yes. But this issue will prove quite thorny in the long term. I'm concerned that sooner or later the prophesy... Thank you for protecting Farina. To put it simply, I used my power to force back the primordial... So as expected, the knave has turned up the pressure on permission granted.
Whoa. It can't be that you're the real... You can't tell us?
If by the phrase, you guys, you are referring to Farina and I, then although I'm not sure just what you are trying to imply, I must clarify that I do not share her position. I believe so. The fortress has a long and complex and now, another catastrophe will soon be upon us.
Huh? Why is it raining?
You may be closer to the truth than you think.
Oh? And what are you thinking? The dragon of... Huh?
Please do not be so surprised. Farina?
Neverlet! Neverlet, are you listening?
Ah, my apologies.
We were just guessing randomly. We didn't guess right, did we?
You guessed correctly. I sincerely...
Right, of course. There's still something...
Please, go ahead.
Well, if you are the dragon sovereign of water, and you were able to then since Fontaine's prophecy is all about seawater, couldn't...
None of the currently living dragon sovereigns in the world. They say that when the first usurper arrived on Tivat, they seized a part of the dragon's power. Today...
There are 7 elemental archons and 7 matching...
The dragon sovereign of water who lived through that era perished a long time ago. As their successor... In any case, I believe I will not be able to do much, unless the Archon... Given the status quo, however, I would recommend finding another way to...
Oh, so even you...
I still have some urgent matters to attend to at my office. If you...
Please go right ahead. There's a place that Paimon wants to go too. Traveler, we'll see you another time.
Take care.
Body and mind.
Now guess, what suit will this neck...
Well, well, look who it is.
Traveler, Paimon.
Hello.
Looks like you're recovering nicely from...
Thanks to everyone. Oh, right.
Whoa, how did she react?
She told me that it was nothing.
She didn't want to stress you out, that's all. She's right, and it's best not to...
Yeah.
Okay, but check this out. We went back to the opera house.
You meant father? Did she say anything?
She said a few things that were, a bit hard to understand.
Her attitude towards you is even better than what we... You should believe her. She has her own way of doing things, and she'll do everything in her power to help those she considers...
Father is very capable.
Oh, Paimon just remembered that she thought Linny was a bit too proud as well.
Got it.
That does sound like some...
Hey!
Are you going to stay here for the next few days?
Looks like it, yeah.
Excellent. I will host a tea party.
For real? Then
Another implies that you were already served some delicious cake while you were... Well, next time, you're going to have... Time to act. body and mind.
A few people sustained superficial injuries, but that's about the extent of the damage. Oh, of course, we must...
How did Nervalet know that he was needed here?
Well, Miss sure Nervalet has strong resonance with the hydro element. When the water level... I ran into the bombshell bros while bandaging the injuries of the wounded. They were mumbling the whole time about... If you're not too pressed for time, just let me know if you get a craving for any particular dish, so I can have Mr. Wolsey get... I'd like to take the opportunity to spend some more time observing your facial muscles as well. Your happy smiles are quite...
Time to act.
You guys are back?
You guys didn't get caught and thrown back down?
Huh? No!
And here I thought you'd managed to escape from jail during all the commotion. I'd held you up as...
We're sorry, but we just...
All right. There's no need to get caught up in the details. We're just relieved to...
Hey, it wasn't just me. Weren't you?
Something like that. I was also transferred to work in the kitchen a few days ago. I can still hear Quisto mumbling to the carrots. Are those two all right? Whenever he'd say that, I'd tell him I'm sure they're fine. Wherever they are, they're kicking back with...
Hey, there's nothing wrong with worrying about your prison pals. Is there?
These two. They sure are a lot warmer and friendlier than when Paimon first met them.
Oh, well, if you say so. I'll be watching...
Courier, Miss Sijouin told me you still haven't eaten.
Yeah, I was working on something.
That's no excuse for...
Courier, Lurvine, we're back!
Hello there. It's been quite the mess here recently. How have you been?
And you? Are you still taking the secret passageway from the infirmary?
Yep. That is still top secret, though. So don't...
It can be a bit annoying when there are lots of people in the infirmary, but I still prefer taking that route over the one from the Duke's...
I mean, the infirmary does make it easier for you to slack off.
Oh, yeah? Then why are you also here so much?
You two really are just using your jobs as a cover for your...
Not at all!
Time to act.
Do my eyes deceive me, or did I just see two inmates come back after making it to the surface?
We wanted to see how the fortress is doing. Is everything...
We're fine, for the most part. Nervalet came down.
If that's the case, why don't you just ask him to...
Oh, yeah, what a brilliant plan. Let's go convince the Udex himself to exchange the Courts of Fontaine for a... He came here in a hurry and left without even stopping for a cup of tea. He did remember to take Miss Sijouin's gift with him, though.
He sure sounds super busy.
Miss Clorand has left as well. She also took her gift from Miss Sijouin.
Were the gifts milkshakes?
Nervalet got the milkshake. Clorand received lipstick instead.
Those aren't even remotely alike.
Well, it's Nervalet's own fault for making Sijouin worried about his health by working so much. But besides that... Oh, and I have some gifts here for you as well.
Are these from Sijouin too?
Nope. They're from yours truly. You've already wrapped up your work at the fortress, so you can return to the surface at any time. You haven't yet served your full prison term, however, so you may continue to use...
For real? Then we could stay here for a really long time?
You may access the cafeteria.
Hooray!
Just remember to come complete your paperwork once it's time for your release.
We're back in our cell again. We're no longer prisoners, though, so it really doesn't feel the same. Being free sure feels pretty... Huh? How did you know? Hey, that's not true! Alright. Okay, it's like we've now gone to so many places together. There are so many bad things in the world, and we're just two people. You're counting Paimon today? Aren't you the only adventurer? Then let's ask Catherine to give Paimon an adventurer handbook as well. Paimon will also be an adventurer from today. Just the thoughts making Paimon giddy. The last time we fell asleep here, we woke up to a whole mess outside our cell. But we should be safe now, right? All right then. Good night to you, traveler.